2ST, as you get up with Max, well, the Shoalhaven has a new world champion, Pat Butler, with the Vincentia Sailing Club team. Went over to Italy recently and he's come back a world champion and we've got him on the phone. Good morning, Paddy. How you going, mate?
Good, Max. How are you, mate?
I'm very well. Congratulations. How does it feel to be a world champion?
Still, I think it's still sinking in, to be honest. We went to Spain last year and when our mates were crowned world champions over there was a big sort of group of Aussies, about 40-odd of us, on the beach waiting and celebrating. Whereas over in Italy, it was just myself, my dad, and our mate Rod and Andrew. And it was sort of, there was four of us there. It wasn't a big crowd, but we had a lot of Danes and Italians and mates from overseas over there. But I think tonight we've got our big sort of VSC presentation for the year. So I think tonight's going to be the real night where it finally sinks in, I think, with everyone around.
I don't think there'll be much sailing done. Cool. There won't be much sailing done tomorrow morning, will there?
Oh, no. I'm actually scheduled to play footy for the Bain Basin Bombers, my grand return to the footy field, so I'm pretty stoked.
Nice. Well, look, you talked about the other people who were there, and they weren't just there. They filled the podium. You came first, your dad came second, and Rod came third. What a coup.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We said we pulled off the Italian job, we like to call it, so... The Aussies, so it was the Hobie 14 World Championships, and here in Australia we've got the strongest Hobie 14 fleet in the world.
In the world,
and I think it's proven. We've proven that finally this year to everyone around the world that what we're doing in Australia on the Hobie 14 class is clearly working. So it begs the question: where should the next World Championships be?
I was going to ask. We had the Hobie 16 World Championships here in 2014, but the 14s, they've got to come to Vincentia now, haven't they?
We'll wait and see. Don't want to say anything too soon, but we'll see what happens.
You were sailing on the Adriatic. How did it compare to sailing on Jervis Bay?
Nothing compares to sailing on Jervis Bay, bloke. Far out. But yeah, it was pretty tough conditions over there on the Adriatic. It was the wind was predictable. It would start off towards the east, and then would just clock around to the north, and it just clock around to the right, to the southeast throughout the day. So we were there 8 days before the championship started. So we'd go out, Dad and I, and we'd just get used to the boats. We had to tweak our boats a fair bit to make them Australian standard, basically. So we brought all our own wires. So what stands the mast up? We brought our own sails over. I brought my own main sheet, so did Dad, which sort of controls the sail. So we brought a lot of our own stuff to make the boats standard to how we sail them, because they come out of the box a bit differently. Mm-hmm. So we tuned them a fair bit. So we spent a few days getting used to the sea, and the sea state there was very bumpy and choppy compared to where we get a pretty big chop here in Jervis Bay and a nor'easter, but we're sailing in 6 to 8 knots over in Italy, which isn't much breeze, and the chop and there was a fair bit of chop for not much wind, so it was a lot of bumping up and down and trying to keep the boat moving. So it was very challenging conditions.
Well, you did very well. Now, I believe that you almost missed the medal celebration.
Yes, that was very funny. Yeah, it was different vibe at the sailing club in Italy than we would have here in Australia. Obviously, at the Vincentia Sailing Club, we're very welcome to absolutely anyone. Whereas at the sailing club there, we weren't allowed to use the showers and whatnot. So leave that as it was. Continue. But yeah, presentation was 8 o'clock on the dot, and we were packing up because we chartered boats from the factory in Europe. So my dad and I were helping pack up all the boats and helping others pack up, and we were going, and I checked the time, and it was about 10 to 8, and we were still there in our boardies and having a beverage in our hand while we're packing up boats, and we're like, I think we got to go get ready, Dad. And he's like, but it's 8 o'clock, surely they'll wait for us. Anyway, they don't wait for the world champion, that's for sure. So we ran home, had a quick shower, didn't get time to do our hair and makeup, so we just bolted back, and I've got I've got the Germans, I've got the Danish all calling me, going, they're calling your name, where are you? I'm like, I'm 200 metres away, just give me a sec. So I was pelting up this little sand pathway in the sunshine, sweating buckets, and then we get there, and our mate Rod's holding all three of our trophies. I think they just finished. They'd finally called, all right, thanks for coming. You can start eating. It's a very silent It's very silent. All the groups sort of awkwardly looking around. What do we do now? Are we finished or what? And then we arrived, and everyone was like, yeah. And then I had a couple of the Danish boys come and pick me up and carry me to the podium, and I was filming on my GoPro at the time, and people filming in the crowd. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounded fantastic.
Yeah, on the podium.
I think you missed out. You wanted to try and switch the national anthem for Kaysan, I believe, but you didn't have time.
Yeah, something that would have been pretty funny, but and cool, very Australian. But no, didn't have the time to do that. Even the president for the association was packing up boats. The girl who ran the whole thing, she almost missed her prize giving.
Good grief! Now look, something like this, it's a single-handed race, but it doesn't happen without a team. I'm sure there's a list of people as long as your arm you want to thank, starting with the Vincentia Sailing Club. Oh,
for sure. Everyone at the Vincentia Sailing Club have supported us the whole way, and like we very much, our Victorian mates started the Hobie 14 resurgence down in Torquay, but we in Vincentia have just blown up the Hobie 14 class, and all the lads, all the girls that have been sailing Hobie 14s down our way. It's just, we've got such a good fleet at home, and that's what's been pushing us to get better and better. You know, there's a dozen people from here in Vincentia, let alone around the whole of Australia, that could have gone to Italy and competed in this event. And if we had a dozen Australians go to Italy, I can very much say that the top 10 would have been pretty green and gold, I would say.
Outstanding. Pat Butler.
A lot of people, but yeah.
Pat Butler from the Vincentia Sailing Club, world champion in the Hobie 14s. His dad came second. His mate Rod came third. They're all from Vincentia Sailing Club. If you want to find out more about the club, vincentiasailingclub.com.au. Big celebrations at the club tonight, a game of footy tomorrow. And then, what's next? Do you want to move up to the 17s to compete in the Olympics, maybe?
Oh, well, I've actually put in an application for the America's Cup Challenge for Team Australia youth squad, so I'm waiting to hear back from that. And then we've got our nationals at the end of the year and a few more things planned for the club for the upcoming season. So basically, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Well, I'd be mad not to have you on board any of the teams. World champion Pat Butler, congratulations, mate. Thanks for talking with us this morning.
Cheers, Max. Have a good one.
And go hard tonight and go hard tomorrow on the footy field.
Always. Cheers, mate.
Local news first, on the way next on 2ST.